Well, hello everyone. I'm so excited. This is a very special video today. So do me a favor, if you find this training to be helpful, give me the thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's really important because more people learn about this channel. And comment below on one of the things I'm going to do after this training is done, whether you're watching it live or on the replay. If you have a comment about anything that I've gone over today, I will go back and I'll answer those later. But right now I'm going to focus on the topic. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 powerful steps to find your purpose, your life's purpose, and being able to monetize this online. Now, the reason why I wanted to create this video is that in the midst of chaos, there's always a blessing. A lot of times people don't realize that because they're focused on the problem. Back in 2008, I knew the internet was going to be a big thing. So I started my business. I started putting my stuff online. Actually, I think it was more in 2006 or 2005. It was before Facebook that I started my first business online, and that was selling fitness products. So I didn't have all the bells and whistles that we have today. There's definitely some low-cost strategies, zero to low-cost strategies to start your business. So there's a low barrier to entry, which is amazing. So I'm going to go over some of those steps that are just so important, and some things that you may not have thought about and is very rarely taught, or not taught in the way that I've been teaching for years, that has been helping my students, my clients all around the world to create a business that is evolving. Okay, you want to create a business that's evolving, because if you don't, marketplace rapidly changes due to technology. So this training is for you if you have no idea what business you want to start online, number one. Number two, if you have a business online, but it's not really going the way that you want. It's also for you if you have a career, but this pandemic has really of just kind of, it's like making you think, well, maybe I should start a side hustle. So the power of online, can you see that in the midst of chaos, that starting a business online is the smartest thing to secure your future? Because a job is not security. It really isn't. So I'm all about empowering people, especially women. So it doesn't matter if you're female or male. I just really welcome you to this training. Okay, so we're going to go through those 5 steps. Now, you see behind me on my lovely whiteboard, it's not the best writing, but it is what it is. But this is what I call your life matrix. And let me explain a little bit what it is and why it's important. Your life is like a matrix, right? And when you understand that there is actually a formula for identifying your superpower, which we'll get into in a minute right now, that's going to be really helpful. It allows your life to flow. So I want to take you back to, and if you've watched my other videos, I talk about this a lot. I talk about axiology, which is actually related to, or actually created by the Greeks. It's a study of values and worth. What I'm going to be talking about specifically is human values. And they discovered that no 2 people on this planet see the same world view, and that we basically are operating all day long through a priority system. Things that are important to us, we will take inspired action, no willpower necessary. We feel just like we're thriving. It's automatic, and no one has to kind of push us to do it. And that's important because when you understand what your unique life matrix is, when you understand that you live by your top 3, and that these top 3 can change during catastrophic times. So right now we're kind of living in a catastrophic time. Depending on your perception, I really believe we are. I mean, in some respects, from a worldview. So if this, if during this time has shocked you in a way where, wow, this is a wake-up call, what's happening in your life matrix, it's shifting your focus. It's telling you, well, maybe I need to focus on building my wealth, increasing my wealth. And that would be the area of your financial. I have to be looking at the monitor to see this. Also, what I have over here, so funny, it's like the opposite. Career. Your career could be, what in this context today, a business. So career, I say it's career. It could be your profession, or it could be in the form of business. Specifically, we're talking about online. Now, in my courses, I go into more detail on how to do this assessment. I'm not going to have time to go into a deep dive on strategy, on understanding what your top 3 are, but I'm going to give you a quick cut, just kind of bootstrap strategies so that you can do it right now. So what you want to look at is that your life is demonstrating right now by the actions that you're taking, right? And what you're focusing on the most, and you're really inspired. Those are, when you look at those top 3 things, that is your identification and things that you feel are important to you. You surround yourself with those things, you focus on those things, you buy things that are pertaining to X, Y, and Z. And so they're living in this matrix right now. And the great thing about that is that every single person has a genius zone just waiting to be activated. But most people, when it comes to especially launching a business online, they get stuck in their head, they get overwhelmed because they don't really know who they are. And so the very first thing is, what I say is, knowing yourself. It's like having a superpower, right? When you know yourself, which is really your life matrix, identified by your top 3 highest values, these become a high value because you're focusing, taking action on them every single day, right? Now, this changes in catastrophic events. Let's just say if you have a baby, you're going to have a baby, and before you had a high value in your business, guess what? Your values are going to shift because now your family is the most important. Okay. So we've got family. Now, sometimes with my life matrix, I might change some of these. I'm going to go over these really quickly before we go into the next piece. So your body, to me, is, focusing on your physical health. I find the healthiest individuals that have a clear vision and purpose. So if we're talking about business online, if you have a clear vision and purpose and you're energized, that you tend not to have these issues. I'm not going to get into, there's a whole field of science called psychoneuroimmunology. It's about how the mind impacts disease. So when you have a high purpose, you have a clear vision, you have the health and vitality. So body can relate to, your physical health. Are you focused on that? And if you are, right? You just know if you are. This is actually one of my highest values. How do I know? Because my life demonstrates this. Every day I get up, I work out, I do some kind of cardio, and then later on in the evening, now that I have to, train from home, I'm doing some kind of weight training workout. Now, if it wasn't a high priority, I might say, well, I really should work out. And that's another thing you want to listen for, is that are you using imperative language that says something like, I must, I have to, I should. That is when you're using those those words, I look for language patterns. It tells me that it's not a high priority. That's not the top 3 of your life matrix. Okay. So you got to watch for your language. Okay. So body, that's pretty self-explanatory. Now, what would spiritual be? So spiritual, I define, it could be like your life purpose. Some people, they look at their spiritual part of their life matrix as religious. their religious beliefs, or it could be just your life purpose. A lot of people have a different, they give different meaning to what their spiritual life is. So no one is right or wrong. It's all what you believe is true. Okay, so when you look at this whole life matrix wheel, these become values. These are something that you hold close to you and you value deeply. And when people go against what you value, can you see that you may become self-righteous and say, no, 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 that's wrong, right? And that's what's interesting. When the Greeks did a whole study about this, axiology, is that they realized, I think I said this earlier, that no two people see the world in the same way. So when we're looking at other people, and if we don't agree with them, it's important to appreciate maybe they have a different viewpoint. I'll maybe go into that in a later video, but I just want you to get an idea of how this is so important in every area of your life, if you don't know this, especially when starting a business. Okay, so we go to spiritual, now we go to career. I already mentioned that your career can be defined as your professional career or your business. And if you have high priority in developing a business, guess what? You're watching videos like this right now. You're focused on your business. You're inspired by your business vision. Now we go to relationships. I identify relationships. It could be an intimate relationship with someone. I sometimes interchange relationships with significant other and family, depending on what wheel I'm using. But relationships, let's just say, if you want to start a business, right? And your relationship, you find that your significant other is taking up a lot of your time, or you're allowing it, then it may be hard for you to work on your online business. And so that's where it comes to knowing your highest purpose and what you want to do in this context of creating an online business. These things take time. Like, you got to put it out there. You've got to take action on it every day. So if you don't know yourself and you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't support your vision, then my question to you is, do you want to stay in that relationship? Is that relationship healthy? Do you not have the boundaries to support it? I've created other videos about when your significant other does not support your business. What do you do? Do you dump that person? Maybe. I have actually worked with clients that they've been able to turn that around by using, some of the things that I teach. So that's the relationship. Financial, a lot of people get this, they get this misconstrued. So in this life matrix, the context of financial is it really pertains to investing your money or saving and not spending. Okay, so when I do an assessment of this life matrix, it's more about what someone is spending money on, or maybe they're investing. But when we look at this wheel, here's what I want you to think. Do I have a value right now in investing my money into whatever, right? So it could be investment in savings account right now. Stock market, maybe not so much. Although right now, there are things that you can buy, when things crash, there's always other things that are going to play out that, we've known this for so many years. So always recommend to work with an advisor, and don't try to do any kind of investing if you're a newbie. Okay, so financial, I want you to think about, do I have a high value? Am I taking a portion of what I'm earning in my career area, and am I investing that or saving? So typically most people do not have a high value. They say they do, but they don't. So once I do that assessment, I can tell. And maximum fulfillment in all of these areas will help you to become empowered. And that's what I love, sharing my message and giving people the strategies on how to do that. Okay, so now let's go over to family. So the value of family in your life matrix, it may not be a high value. It may, if you have kids, and don't make yourself wrong. So if you're building your business online, and you also have a high value of your family, you're going to have to create a strategy to keep your kids at bay. You're also going to, maybe you're outside, like you have your immediate family. You also have people that are close to you, which is your friends category. Could you interchange that? Well, depending if you see friends or family, I'm not going to go, I mean, to me, it's just like, I kind of like to separate those. So friends or social, this area of life is, your friends. It could be in person, although right now we're practicing social distancing, right? Or it could be people online. Everyone has a different way on how they want to socialize. And if you don't know who you are, if you don't know your top three, and your friend tells you, who are you to start this online business? And you may start questioning yourself. So would you agree that it's important to understand who you are, know who you are? I have this written on a bottle of one of my wines from FEMME, can't even talk. Knowing who you are is like having a superpower. So when you know who you are, you won't subordinate to anyone or anything. You'll live true to your vision because you're clear on your top three. And that also will help you to unpack your genius zone. And then we go into mind. I can actually divide this in a couple different ways. We've got your mental health, your emotional health, your personal growth. That's actually a really high value for me. And how I know that is that I focus when I am teaching leadership or coaching clients with their business. We focus on, this is my foundational piece of how I work with my clients, is developing their mind. You know why? Because if you want to start this online business and you're seeking instant gratification because you didn't get the sale on day one, you have to develop a mindset that can endure both sides of creating and sustaining a business, creating and growing a business. And so I have found, being an entrepreneur, having a business for, I want to say 15 years now, has been one of the biggest challenges as far as creating mental toughness, especially when I first started out. I had no idea what I was doing. Now it's a lot easier. Some of you watching this may be struggling. Maybe you need to pivot in your business. But I want to tell you, it's totally 1000% possible if you understand what these top three are. So number one, if you understand your superpower in your life matrix, your top three, then from there, you can unpack your genius. So let's go into step two, finding your superpower, unpacking your genius, however you want to language that. What you want to do is, where do you think that you're most focused on in these three areas? Like, what does your life really represent? And then you want to start brainstorming and deep diving. And I've actually, it's funny because before all this started, I am actually launching a program. I'm actually marketing. I'm going to launch a product that can go out to millions of people. I'm also launching a program designed specifically for people to, well, at least with the program, is to help people to get clear on their vision. I'll talk about that in a second. But you want to do a deep dive into these three areas. Now, let me take a little sidestep here. And let's talk about, how are these created? How are these top three created? Well, anything that you perceive through your senses as a void, like something missing, becomes a high value. So you start reordering this life matrix through what you perceive through our senses, or your senses, as, wow, I'd really like that. So if you grew up in a household where your mother and father fought all the time, you might feel a void or a loss of, wow, I really want to be in a relationship. And you start seeking that. And so your brain is like this filtering system, this GPS system that is constantly searching and finding meaning, and will not stop until that area of life is fulfilled. And that's how things start changing. So once you're fulfilled in one area, you may like, what are one of the other areas that I want to start to focus on? Or you might be like, I want to continue and grow that. I find that most people don't get to this optimal level of I've learned everything. If you've told me you've learned everything, I think you're lying, because human beings, we really, it's like we think we know something, but we really don't know anything. And so when I study ancient philosophers, they're basically saying the same thing, is that we have to constantly grow and develop our minds. So I'm going to take a drink of water here. Oh no. It's like, I was going to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to cough. No, I don't have Corona. When I talk a lot, I tend to drink a lot of water. I need a lot of water. Okay. So we talked about unpacking your genius zone, finding it, how voids create values. Whatever happened in your life, you can see how these things become priority. Now, I want to tell a quick little story. As I mentioned before, my first product was in the fitness space. The reason why I started creating a product, or I created a product in the fitness space, is that if we look back on my my lifeline, and what that is just kind of understanding where these voids originate, is that I never liked my body. I always felt like it was really hard to get into shape. And so I started studying, and I got certified as a personal trainer. I used my body as an experiment. I competed. I won Miss Midwest States Natural, placed in top 5 in bodybuilding, fitness, and figure, way before it was popular now, which is kind of funny. But anyways, that void created a high value. I started training people in this whole mind-body connection. So I created a system. Here's what I want you to get. I packaged a system first in my office, and this is before online really was taking off. And I had people in my office say, Heather, you need to put this online. So I took my genius zone, created out of my void of what I perceived was missing, because I was able to, create the healthy body. And I started figuring out, what was important to go into the system, looking at all of my struggles. And I created the system to empower the mind and body. Okay. And then specifically for women, I wanted to focus on women, particularly older women. And so this is part of number 2, finding your superpower. Okay. So what is really important to me, right? What are my highest values? And you really want to extract what your highest values are. Just like that example I told you about feeling like the void of not, having a good body. So I wanted to become a fitness trainer. Then that evolved. My business evolved out of wanting to serve more people, which you can do online. And it's crazy because, like I said, before Facebook started, I knew I was onto something, but I didn't want to stay in that space. So, I evolved my business to another level. But anyways, I was able to niche into a market. Here's what I want you to look at. Niching into a market of fitness, because that was a passion. And I also realized my mindset was also an issue. So avoid becomes your highest value in your life matrix. For many years, I had been disempowered in the area of my mindset. I remember keeping a journal since 4th grade. And part of my journal entries were really negative, like just talking about how much I hated my body, just my dominant thoughts, my process, almost suicidal, really. I mean, there were times, and I may have shared this in other videos, where I hated my body, almost, really wanted to take my own life. I attempted it a couple times. I can say, thankfully today, I don't feel that way, but it was a challenging time. And, it's interesting because I've gone through a lot of challenges in every area of my life. That's how I can be a powerful leader and a coach today, because I can empathize with whatever someone's going through. I've been through a lot of, I'll say interesting situations in all these areas. And that's who you want to work with. You want to work with someone that understands human behavior and how you're wired. If you go online and you just buy a cookie cutter strategy from someone that doesn't understand the human condition, what you're going to do is you're going to apply their methodology, and it's not going to be unique to you, and it's not going to feel like your truth. Why do I know that's true? I know that's true because I remember when I wanted to capitalize on ideas online, they didn't work when I was not congruent with this. Okay, so that is the truth. So rule number 997, don't do a business just because you want the money. You got to have a purpose in helping people, then you'll make a profit. I get comments all the time, whether it's on my channel or people emailing me, Heather, I just want to make as much money as I can. There's nothing wrong with money. Okay. Money is a powerful tool, but you got to serve people. You got to have a purpose. Okay. I'm going to take another drink of water here. I'm trying to prevent my dryness cough. Not Corona. I find humor in our tragic times, right? Our tough times. I mean, you know, it is what it is, and we'll get through this. Okay, so we talked about really diving deep into a subset of your values. So you see, you kind of dig through the layers of what makes you unique. I am launching a program that goes into this in deep detail, which is so mind-blowing because it's the years of working with clients all around the world and understanding that this formula that I am helping my clients with not only helps with unpacking their genius zone, but it helps you to balance your emotions in your perceptions and not create goals that are fantasy goals. Anytime you're not living your truth, you're not following your top 3 highest values in this life matrix, you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to attract chaos. I guarantee it. So anyways, that's another video in and of itself. So we talked about in step 2, identifying your superpower. So what are my top 3 highest values in my life matrix? What is the subset? Creating the niche. Look at your voids, look at what you felt was always missing in your life and what you are really focused and drawn towards, what you feel like you're so unique doing. And so for me, again, it was a combination of the mindset and body that created my system because it was based on my evolution as a human being, in particular of, you know, using my body, right? Not just my body, but my mind to create this system. I knew I was on to something when I had people say that like, oh my gosh, you know, you need to get this out there. You know, more people need to learn about this. And I did. So back before Facebook launched, before we had any of that, I remember creating my system and like it was 60 or 90 days I had my first sale. That was an amazing feeling, seeing that email merchant receipt come through my inbox. And I will tell you, I get excited when I help my clients to create and monetize their businesses online, because it is a superpower. And once you get a little taste of that, even if it's like a smaller product, you start getting excited because you see the possibilities. Here's how your mind works. When you start seeing the possibilities, you start increasing your sphere of awareness to develop your ideas. If your mind is closed around creating an online business, whatever you're thinking, what happens is you won't see the opportunity. The opportunity right now for you, it's here right now. You have an online business waiting to be unleashed, or your online business right now that maybe is just not that great. You need to pivot in your business based on a couple of different things. Where is the market going? What are some of the services or products that I know is going to make a difference right now? So understanding that, being able to predict the future before it happens is key. I go through that in my courses, but you know, when you can look at it right now, leadership courses, really important, thinking about products, consumable products. Now, creating products, you know, sometimes that can take a little bit of time. I'm not going to get into how to create a product. When I'm talking about a physical, tangible product, I'm actually launching a physical, tangible, mass marketable product. It's going to be probably next month. And then my course is going to be in May. So I've been working on these things for the past almost 2 months now. So again, as my business evolved, so as my mind and where I see the market in the future going, one of the biggest things that I'm doing is working with Fortune 500 companies and using my whole methodology to help them to solve the biggest problems, you know, help them with mindfulness, help them to strategize. I've created the whole system that I'm launching, the mass marketable system, not only helps individuals, but it also helps corporations. So I've created multi-tiers of different products that will help not just corporations, but individuals. So you can only come up with these ideas if your mind is switched on to seeing these possibilities, right? So this phase and stage of ideation really has to come from this, okay? So what you don't want to do, like I said, don't get a marketing out of a box solution where they don't teach this stuff. And no one really teaches this stuff like I do. I'm one of the very few people that gets this, because if you set yourself up with a business that is not in alignment with you, that it's going to fail. I've seen it. I've done it myself when I first started out before I knew all this. So you just want to set yourself up for success. Now let's go to the next part. This is actually still step 2, is asking yourself the question. So I ask myself, ask yourself, who do I serve, right? You know, what is my niche? What is my specialization? Who do I serve? How do I price this, right? So pricing, is it group coaching, corporate group coaching for who? Corporate, individuals. There's a couple of different models. So you want to start looking at that. Don't price yourself too cheaply. It is not hard to do a high-end coaching business. You just have to have the right model and you got to know how to sell it, period. If it's a product, if it's a mass marketable product, you have to understand what is the cost of my goods, right? So you gotta look to see what your profit margins are. Is this going to be a good profit margin for what I'm putting it out there? Having systems of automation, and how you're going to, how are you going to deliver this? There are so many easy solutions, like creating a website. Anyone could create a website. It's not rocket science. You can hire someone for very inexpensive to create these. So there's no excuse. Okay, number 3, I want to move on because I know I talked about the first 2 quite extensively. Number 3, this is definitely my genius zone. Your beliefs. You can have number 1 and number 2, which are very important. But if you don't understand what is keeping you from launching your business or growing it online, you will never move forward. The biggest thing, the biggest thing that holds anyone back is fear. Heather, if I put myself on there and I get trolls trolling me, I don't know what to do. Guess what? Be okay with getting people trolling on your stuff. Okay. Excuse me. My mouth is dry. I'm going to keep saying that. My mouth is dry. I am not sick. Or I should affirm I am 100% healthy. Dry mouth, lots of talking. Okay. So beliefs. Yeah. And I believe here's the thing. I am personally not worried for my personal self. I'm not worried about getting sick because I follow my highest, I live by my highest values in my life matrix, and I'm inspired by my vision. So when you do those things, getting sick because if you're not living by your highest values right now and you're beating yourself up, your immune system goes down. So you have the health and vitality. Your health and vitality is increased in proportion to your clear vision, right? Because your clear and inspired vision. All right. So let's go through beliefs. Let's talk about this. So I had mentioned the number 1 thing that holds people back is fear. I did a whole video on this. You can search for it. There are specific fears. I'm not going to get into exactly what they are, but just realize if you've been dragging your feet about putting yourself out there, for most people, you know what it is? It's the fear of needing approval. So if you're putting your content out there and launching a program, and maybe your friends and family are like, who are you to do that, right? And you, because you don't know yourself, you're subordinating to them. Can you see how this is costing you thousands of dollars? And it's also costing you the inability to serve others. So can you see how knowing yourself is like a superpower? Living by your top three, being maximally fulfilled and empowered in all these areas is a secret sauce. But what I find is that, you know, even if you're in a relationship and you're saying, hey, I'm going to start this online business, perfect opportunity. And they go to you, or, you know, they say, hey, Mary, or hey, Bob, whatever your name is, insert name. Who are you to do that? Oh, you can't do that. What makes you think you can sell X, Y, and Z product or service? What qualifications do you have? Can you see how if you don't know yourself, you're going to take on their energy, and then you're never going to create your opportunity. You're not going to invest in yourself, right? You're not going to hire a mentor or coach because you're listening to the outer voices instead of listening to your inner voice. The only way that you're going to create the beliefs and the confidence that you need to succeed is if you know who you are and you take action and create a course or service or product that is unique to you, that is in alignment, and that has a value to serve other people. Okay, so that is what keeps that's what keeps people back, is that, you know, oh, I'm so afraid if I start this business, it's going to fail. Guess what? You're going to launch something and it may fail, but if you have a clear vision, you're going to say, oh, I need to tweak that. I need to tweak my marketing copy, or I need to hire an expert that can help me. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, who's going to invest in you? So that's where, and I'm going to get into the last step about getting some support and help that is going to accelerate your learning curve and fast track you to success. Okay, we're talking about beliefs, really, really important. In the belief structure, one of the things that I teach is how, and what I do in my training based on neuroscience, cutting edge neuroscience, no one is teaching, and psychology, and helping someone to own their value. You gotta shift your perception to own your value if you want to charge or create a product online, period. It's an internal thing. It's not an external thing, because you can have the greatest product, but if you don't believe it, guess what? It's going to flop. So you must have that internal value, and you must be able to receive the value as well. So you have to have a balanced mind in order to launch your product or service online, period. A lot of people have issues with that, but what I do is I basically make those new connections in their brain so that they are feeling engaged, they're feeling inspired, and they're taking action. Because here's how your subconscious mind works. 95% of your beliefs, actions, and behaviors come from your subconscious mind. Now, if you say, oh, I really want to do this, I want to start an online business, but your body is not taking the action, you know what that tells me? That you don't know who you are, number one. Number two, you have subconscious programs that are keeping you stuck, and you don't know how to block yourself. And you keep creating self-sabotaging patterns. And guess where those patterns come from? They come from those things. Particularly find how you were raised with your family, right? If you say that you want to, let's just say you don't want to go to college, you want to create your online business, and your family has a high value in college education, guess what? They're going to challenge you. You don't know who you are and your vision. If you're not clear, you don't have a strategy, then guess what? You're not going to do it. Then you're going to live your life for your family and not yourself. And that's where people disempower themselves, because they don't know how to lead within. So subconscious mind, reprogramming that, that is the foundational piece of my work and my program that I have coming up. Is I show people how to shift their internal world so that they can make a profit. serve other people. Really quick story, working with a client who was blocked. Okay, here's where she was blocked. She was blocked in her, well, look, I find it. Woo, where's my, it's so weird to find it. She was blocked in the area of her family, particularly her mother. As we worked on shifting the resentment around her mother, what happened is she started attracting clients out of the blue with, even without a website, which is crazy. I mean, it's just so crazy. But she was able to do that. So this tells me that the vehicle is secondary, it's necessary. And when I talk about the vehicle, I mean the platform that you're putting yourself online, marketing, YouTube, all of that, having an online presence. But if you don't know how to unblock yourself, you're not going to create your online business. You're not going to be successful. So that's where, if you buy in to the infatuation and the puffed up marketing programs that only talk about the external and not the internal, that is a recipe for disaster. And I know, because when I first got online, I took those programs and they didn't work, or they didn't sustain my business. So real important to understand that. Okay, so we talked about number 3. Now let's go into number 4, planning. So now you got all those things. You know what your genius zone is, you know what your pricing is, you know how to get out of your own way with your beliefs. We want to talk about planning. Normally what I do is create a 60 to 90 day plan. Why? Because if I told you, okay, this is what you're going to do for the entire year, which I do have extensive planning through not just, here's what your vision should look like for the rest of your life, but you also need to kind of chunk that down, because the brain likes to encode pieces of information in small little chunks so that it doesn't feel overwhelmed. So we break it down to 30 to 90 days. I do this in my whole goal setting theory that's based in neuroscience, scientific research on the right way to do it. First, we start with this principle. Then we start with chunking things down that are doable and prioritizing things like what you need to do every single day. If you don't know what to do every single day in your online business, guess what? You're going to be like looking at cat and dog videos on Facebook, right? You're going to go through TikTok, and let me tell you, TikTok, that is addictive unless you're using it strategically for business. But that is another conversation in and of itself. So that's when you start becoming, I always say the word infatuated, because you're not knowing how to prioritize this vision that you want to create for your business. So we want to have a strategy. Part of that strategy is getting clear on your vision, so you can have an overall vision of what you want to create between now and the rest of your lifetime, which I teach this process. But you also want to dial in your vision of what you want for anywhere from 30 to 90 days. I have found through my experience, excuse me, that is a good time frame. Okay, this is just a lot of information today, going straight. Okay, so when you want to create an online business, one of the things that you want to do, and you'll see the link below, is you want to collect email data. If you're doing a product, anything you're marketing, okay, just like this is the golden rule. Anything that you market online, you need a list, which is essentially called a CRM. Why is that important? I don't care where you market, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, any other thing that pops up, right, between now and whenever. If you don't capture those names, and what happens if those platforms go away? You have no way to market to people. So you want to own your list. Your list is your stock, okay? Is it an investment? So when you own your list, guess what? You can email to people, hey, buy my protein bar that I invented, right? I mean, being so generic. So that would be an example of a product, right? So because you put yourself on Instagram, you have a link to get them into your funnel, your marketing funnel. And these things are secondary, because you can't do all the things I talked about before. And, you can't do this or I should say, you can't do this right now. You can't do the email thing unless you don't have this down first. It's not gonna work. But you want to capture people's names and emails so you can continually market them. Because what happens, and this has happened to people, if you get put in Facebook jail, right? And I'm sure there's a YouTube jail, and you did not take the time to ask people to subscribe to your list, guess what? You got to rebuild. Just like right now, if you don't have cash reserves and you're freaking out, it's the same thing, right? So having that investment in yourself so that you can always grow is key. So don't make that mistake. So I have found a couple of different CRMs that are literally zero. For $0 or even as little as $10 a month, you can get started and start building your list and start making money. I want to give you a case study of a client I worked with. She had 100 people on her list in 8 weeks. I helped her to generate 8,000 in 8 weeks. I have helped clients to build 6- and 7-figure businesses by just using different strategies. You know, it's being creative, it's understanding where their genius zone is. One of my clients that does real estate investing, she was doing everything. And, you know, I said, you know what, we really want to focus on one thing. She did not understand her formula. Okay. And so when I did this assessment for her, I said, you need to do real estate investing. So we packaged it in a way that was aligned with her, that was unique. Other people, here's the thing, because I helped her to identify this formula, her friends and colleagues said, this will never work. She texted me, I'll never forget this, because she was an elite client of mine. She texted me, she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, so-and-so said this is not gonna work. And, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And I said, what do you think? So what do you think? I said, we just had a session where I helped you to unpack and brand your genius zone. I said, this is why you've hired me. And she's like, you know what, you're right. And she was able, I think she had a presentation that day. She was able to knock it out of the park and sell her mastermind program. Now she has a top podcast because of me. I helped her to launch her top podcast. Now she's like doing things with celebrities. She's doing partnerships. She had struggled for years, and this woman is smart. She is making multi 7 figures in her business. So it's not like she wasn't smart. She just didn't have all this, and she lacked the confidence. So I'm here to tell you, no matter what you want to do, can you see how your beliefs are the driving force? Can you also see how not being clear on what to do can stop you? Like, there's so many people, should I do a podcast? Should I do this and that? Sometimes, depending on what business stage you are, you can do everything. And other times, you know, I say, you know what, I want you to focus on this area. It depends, because everyone's at a different stage. And so I really kind of, I'm really thoughtful on how I want to design someone's business, because sometimes it's not a one size fits all plan. For example, if you're trying to get corporate clients, you're not going to be on TikTok, right? Unless you have a mass marketable product, where you know your audience is on TikTok. So there you go, right? Because let's just say if you focus all your efforts on marketing on TikTok for corporate clients, wouldn't you see that's a waste of time? But it could be a brilliant strategy for you to do. There's other people saying, hey, you got to be everywhere. I agree, and then I disagree, depending on where you're at. Because what can happen when you're first starting out, if you don't understand this online world, it can literally drive you crazy. I want to give another case study of a client that I work with, who went from, I helped her to go from 100,000 to $500,000 in her business. And she already had traction in her business. So she already had, so when you're making 100,000 in your business, you already have traction. You already have your list built to some degree. She was looking at expansion. So that was a case where we got on multiple platforms. I helped her to create a YouTube channel that had like, actually when we were said and done, it was said and done, 1 million views. Right now, I don't have 1 million views, but I was not focusing on building my channel, right? I just was not focused on it. But she was doing different things where she's like, okay, I really want to focus on this area. And she had a really good niche where it was in the dating space. So it was a hot topic. And I basically gave her a simple formula to follow, and she was able to repurpose some content. And there you go. And it was great because when I helped her, as she was growing her business, I helped train her sales team. I helped her to train, just to think about how she wanted to train her other coaches. And that's really more the point of, or when you're at the point of scaling your business, if you're doing more high level consulting, your business is going to look a little bit different, right? So you get to choose. Don't look at someone else's business and say, oh, I got to do it like this. Because then unless you feel aligned with it, right? And that's the problem. There's so many different ways to develop your business online, but it has to be congruent, has to be fluent, and it has to be true to you. Okay, so we talked about the different platforms. You'll see some links below on literally zero cost to get started. Do yourself a favor, sign up for one of those CRMs to get started. So you need an email thing, you need an email service provider, some kind of landing page, website. And with a lot of these CRMs, guess what? They have landing pages. You don't have to have some intricate website. You don't. Those days are over. Not to say you don't need one like that, but I want to streamline it for the people too that are just starting out. Like I want to uncomplicate things and have you focus on the things that matter the most. What I talked about, in the beginning. Okay. And then I talked about the platforms, different ways. Getting really clear on your message is really key, but we really talked about that in step number 2, like what is your superpower? What is your genius zone that you're here to do that is so unique? Okay, so unique. Now the last thing, oh my gosh, hopefully you stay with me the whole way through this training. The last thing, and one of the most important things, and they've actually done studies on this, 78% of people, actually, if you want to increase your success rate, how many of you that are watching this right now, put a comma below. You want to increase your success rate with launching your online business, or if you have an online business right now, pivoting it, or if you have a career, you want to start it, whatever category you fit in. If you want to increase your rate of success by 78%, you know how you do that? And these are proven studies. You do that through accountability. So that's why in May 4th, I'm doing an entire course. It's funny because I wasn't even going to talk about this until a little bit later. And I'll go into what it's called yet. I'm not actually sharing that with people right now. But it's this whole methodology on how to organize everything that we've talked about. Getting into reprogramming your mindset for success, getting it out of your own way. And because everyone, and the great thing about this program that I've created, it doesn't matter what level you're at, the methodology works for every single person to get organized, focused, create mindfulness, a daily practice so that they are feeling inspired by their day, being innovative and creative, so you always know what to do. Always know what to do. So some of you that are just in the startup mode, you know exactly what to do. You'll have your entire plan mapped out. And most importantly, you'll get extremely clear on your vision. To be a leader in this world, you have to have a clear vision, and you have to get over yourself. You have to match your mindset if you want to create a successful business. And so my foundational pieces of this course is helping you to create these behavioral changes, the mindset that you need, creating your own strategy. Your strategy is going to be unique to you, which I'm going to help you to do, but to immerse yourself into a different way of how you see yourself. Because if you're operating right now from the mindset of, I can't do this, it feels overwhelmed, then you're never going to do it. If you're also operating from a mindset right now, oh my gosh, Heather, I can't invest in myself because of this pandemic. I'm here to tell you, if you have that mindset, it's limiting. I get that you might be scared, but this is where the future is going. Virus or not, there's always going to be quote unquote something. So if you want to secure, your wealth potential, that you're here to serve other people and you don't know exactly what that is, you're like, "Ugh, I don't know exactly what my genius zone is." What I recommend is setting a time with me. I am opening it up to do some free online consultations, talk about some of the things that we talked about in this training. You can go to sessionwithheather.com. There's also a link below, and we'll have a conversation. I'll talk about the program, see if it's a good fit for you. And I decided to create a payment on a totally affordable payment plan. This program is definitely affordable for those that see the value of investing in themselves. I have courses that are a lot higher priced. To work with me is not cheap. Even if you want to work with me, we can talk about that. But I really wanted to create a program way before this ever happened, something that I knew was a level investment that I felt was fair exchange. Um, just because of my background and all the stuff that I've helped people with. And I know that if you have the right methodology, you've got, the right training and systems in place, that you're going to do it. So go to heatherpicken.com. We'll get on a call, and I'll tell you if you're a fit. Who I do not want, if you don't want to work on yourself internally, this program won't work for you. If you want a quick fix, this program won't work for you. This program is going to teach you how to create your vision, get super clear on your vision, whether it's your product or your service online that you want to put out there in the world. You're going to get crystal clear with your vision, and then you're going to learn exactly your specific plan that you need to create based on your goals. And we're going to create a whole goal formula based on this. Okay. And the reason why I base it on these top three values in your life matrix is that you're going to hit your goals based on where you're at, instead of creating goals that don't make sense, right? That are fantasy goals, I call it. So if you've made 100,000 in your business, it's actually easier to get to 500,000 than going from 0 to 500,000, So I like to set these realistic expectations based on what these are dictating and a couple of other factors. So anyways, go to sessionwithheather.com, drop a comment below. I'll answer all of your comments after this training is over. And until next time, this is Heather Picken, and live fearlessly.